plan, someone stop me. I've been sent here from Illuminati. Evil scriptures written on my body.
What is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Tamron 17-28 wide-angle lens for Sony full-frame cameras. I recently bought this lens because I needed something with a wide angle to shoot real estate photos and videos with. We're going to talk about a few things I like with this lens, a few things that I don't like. Honestly, I don't know if there's really much that I don't like, but we're gonna talk about it. When it comes to lenses, I am very picky about quality and sharpness. I really like sharp lenses, which almost made me shy away from getting a zoom lens. However, I will say this lens is very sharp for being a zoom lens. I shot an entire wedding on it about a month ago, and the sharpness it's there. It's a very sharp lens. It's not the sharpest lens I've ever seen. It's not a prime lens. It's probably not gonna be the sharpest, but it is really sharp for a zoom lens. I wasn't expecting that. I use it primarily for video. However, like I said, I have shot some photos on it. It's a wide angle, so let's talk about the fact that there is going to be some distortion from shooting on a wider angle lens, especially when you're shooting all the way down at 17 millimeters. There's a small amount of distortion, as you would expect with any wide angle lens. It's really easy to fix in Photoshop, and with videos, I actually kind of like that minor amount of distortion. It just kind of gives you that like wide angle feel. But I will say it is not a lot of distortion at all. So if that's something you have issues with, easily corrected in Photoshop. Very minor amounts of barrel distortion correction. And in video, if you have a good eye for lenses, you'll be able to tell it's a wide angle, but it's not a distracting amount of distortion. In fact, it's about the perfect amount, I would say, because I do like a tiny bit of distortion with my wide angle lenses. When it comes to the build quality, it's pretty light. It's got some weight to it, but it's not like a super heavy lens. Let's say it's about moderate weight, which makes sense. It feels more plastic than metal. It doesn't feel like a cheap lens at all. In fact, this is the most expensive lens I own at this point. Only 900 bucks, which isn't too bad. I haven't dropped the money for a G Master lens yet. Speaking of that, I always go for the cheaper alternative because the G Masters may be like 10% better than a lot of other lenses out there that cost about half as much, a third to half as much. So is that 10% boost in quality and sharpness necessary? No, because 99% of people won't be able to tell the difference unless you're a photographer, videographer. I have no issues with the quality on this lens, and I would not spend extra money on a G Master unless you just absolutely had that to blow on lenses and gear. Now, when it comes to video and autofocus, it does really well. Like I said, I used this for an entire wedding video. I'm really pleased with the results. The convenience of being able to switch focal lengths just like that is really, really convenient in a wedding setting. I found the 17mm focal length surprisingly useful because everything else I've shot on weddings, I pretty much stick to my 28mm Sony lens, which I'm recording on right now. And I could easily go to my 28mm on this Tamron and then switch back to the 17mm wide angle in a split second. It also labels the 20 and 24mm focal ranges, which are also useful if you want something a little less wide and maybe a teeny bit less distortion. You could go to the 20mm, and then 24mm is also very useful. But I just really like the way they labeled those so I could easily switch back and forth between these common focal lengths. When it comes to autofocus sound, there is none. It's completely silent, which is great for video. The speed of autofocusing, it worked like my Sony lenses. Maybe it's a split second slower because it's not a native lens, but I couldn't tell the difference. This may be of interest. I found it interesting how easy it was to get solar flares while using this lens. I actually found it easier to get solar flares on this lens than my prime Sonys, which are the 28mm f2 and then the 85mm 1.8. Solar flares were just happening without me even trying, and I was like, oh, that looks really nice. So that's another factor you might want to consider. If you don't like solar flares, then that's also something you want to consider. Anyhow, I definitely recommend this lens if you're looking for a wide angle lens, especially if you need something for fast-paced shooting settings like a wedding. This is great. I'll keep this short and sweet. I'm a big fan of this lens. It hasn't let me down yet. In fact, it's been really impressive for me as of late. I know this review might not be as technical as others. I'm just giving you my thoughts on it, showing you a couple examples, and I hope that is enough to help you make a decision on whether you would like to buy this lens or not. I will put a link in the description to Amazon where you can buy this lens, and if you are interested, I will get an affiliate kickback from that. Just so that is known, I would never promote a product that I don't actually like and use. As you saw, I used it for an entire wedding and I am a fan. In fact, I didn't want to put out a review on this until I had used it for an actual project. So highly suggest it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.